Hello and welcome to today's intermediate Pilates session with me, Sue from Fit Panda. So we're going to be starting today's session standing on your mat, feet hip width apart underneath you, and then just lengthening up tall through your spine. So if you need any supports such as a towel or a cushion, you can have those close by so that we can use them when we come to lie down on the mat. Think about opening up through the chest, spreading the weight out equally through the four corners of the feet. And then as we inhale, you'll reach the arms up overhead towards the ceiling for a stretch. And exhale, we'll bring the arms back down beside the body. Start to curl the head forward, let the knees soften. Take another breath before you roll down through your spine, melting forward and down towards the mat, going as low as you feel comfortable to go. Take a breath there and exhale, draw the navel deep towards the spine as we slowly start to restack one vertebra on top of the next. Till the shoulders and the head lift, the knees can straighten, the arms reach back up overhead as you inhale. Exhale, arms come back down by your side, start to curl the head forward again, softening the knees and then rounding the spine forward and down as though your head was pulling you forward and down towards the mat. And at this time, staying here, you can keep the knees softly bent and place the hands on top of your thighs with the fingers facing in towards each other, elbows facing out towards the sides of the room, so that you can push through the arms to try and flatten out your spine. So your head, chest, and shoulders will lift. Think about trying to turn your back into a table, so you're a straight line from the sitting bones through to the crown of your head with the push of the arms helping you. And then we'll take a breath there and exhale, tuck the tailbone in and start to round your spine into a standing cat stretch. So everything is going to flex, the eye line will drop to look towards your own thighs. And then on the inhale, we'll lengthen back out again. And then almost try to move through just being straight into a gentle arch of the spine as though you're trying to lift your sitting bone slightly, maybe even feeling a bit of a stretch through the hamstrings. And then we go again into the cat stretch. Draw the tummy muscles in and up as you round your spine. Inhale as we flatten the spine out, gently trying to arch by lifting the chest forward, lifting the sitting bones. And one more time, you're going to round into your cat stretch, flex the spine, and then lengthen everything back out. Then keeping the length of the spine, you can do a forward fold over the legs, let your hands slide and release all the way back down towards the floor or as low down as you can go. And then we'll stay here. And as you exhale, try to straighten into the back of your legs a little bit more to look for the hamstring stretch. So I'm still in the forward fold looking towards my own legs, and then we'll inhale, let the knees bend again. And again, we're going to straighten them on the exhale. Let's do it one more time. So a nice little bouncy stretch for the hamstrings. We bend and we straighten. Then just go back to the soft bend of the knees, so back into your starting position. Place the hands back onto the thighs, and then once again try and flatten out the spine. So lifting the head, the chest, and the shoulders to try and find that straight line from your tailbone through to the top of your head. Then engage your tummy muscles, press down through all four corners of the feet so that you can then hold yourself in this position. So one hand will stay against the thigh. Release your other hand just to place the back of the hand against your lower back to do a little self-check to make sure that your back is as flat as you can get it to be. And then keep it like that and release the other hand off the thigh so that you can then have both arms just out in front of your shoulders. So your abdominals and your back muscles are keeping you there. The arms are going to be straight and we're going to start to lift them, pull the shoulder blades away from the ears and try to get your arms in line with your straight line as well. Stay looking towards the floor and we're going to do little pulses with the arms up towards the ceiling to warm up your upper back. Pulsing for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keeping the length for another 4, 3, 2, 1, and then as the arms go down, you can forward fold again all the way down towards the mat. Take a breath, draw your tummy muscles in, and start to slowly roll up through the spine, one vertebra at a time. Unraveling your spine till we're standing nice and tall, and then from there you can walk towards the front edge of your mat, taking one foot behind the other like you're going to do a little curtsy with the toes tucked in. Feel free to use your hands if you need to. Otherwise, we go hands free down into a little cross-legged position onto the mat. Once you're there, we'll unravel the legs out in front of you and we're going to get set up to go straight into your roll-ups. So if you know that you need a little bit of support, you can do what I'm doing in the video there, which is placing the towel kind of about 5 centimeters away from the bottom edge of my sitting bones there. Otherwise, if you don't need the towel, don't use the towel. We're going to start by lengthening through the spine as much as possible. So if that means that you need to bend your knees slightly, you can. We're going to have the legs squeezing together. Take a breath. And then exhale, draw the navel in, round your spine and roll just off the back edge of your sitting bone. So we're not going all the way down yet, just somewhere that you can hold it. And then everyone should be able to straighten their legs out completely here now that we've leaned back slightly. Keep your tailbone tucked in, your abdominals engaged. We're going to turn the palm of the left hand to face up to the ceiling so that as you sweep that left arm around towards the back of the room, you're going to twist and you're going to stay looking at the hand as it reaches behind you. Exhale to come forward again, still with the tailbone tucked in. Right hand flips to face up. Inhale as you twist and reach towards the back right hand corner of your room. Exhale to come forward. We'll stay facing forward for one more breath, and then you can finish your roll down into your mat. Lower back, mid back, and upper back. Once the head's down, take the arms back to create that length from fingertips to toes. Lift the arms, inhale up into your chest lift again, and then exhale, let's peel our way up through the spine just until your shoulders are kind of just above your hips, but we're keeping the rounded shape of the spine as though your spine was a kind of capital C shape. Take a breath, exhale again, we're going to roll just off the back edge of the sitting bones. And if you feel like you want to go a little lower, you can go a little lower. Just make sure that it's somewhere that you can hold it, as if you were going to think about putting your lower back against the mat. Flip the left palm to face up. Inhale, we're going to stretch that arm back, twisting the spine to look at the arm. Exhale as you come to face forward again. Inhale, we go over to the right. Think about lengthening the spine slightly as you twist. And then as you come forward, you go back into that capital C shape. Breathe in, stay looking at your toes as you roll down slowly through your spine. Once the head is down and you're in your neutral spine, the arms go back, just moving through the shoulders to take your arms back. Then arms lift. We're going to repeat the whole process one more time. Inhale, chest lift position. Exhale, peels you up through the spine till the shoulders are just above the hips. Take a breath. And then rolling down just off the edge of the sitting bones, going a little lower this time if you can. Really feel as though you're sliding your sitting bones in underneath you and keeping your pelvis tucked. Flip the left palm up. Inhale as we reach it back behind us. Exhale to face forward. Can you go a little lower maybe? And then we go over to the right. Inhale. And exhale to face forward, looking at the toes. Take one more breath in. Exhale, we're going to roll down through the spine, lower back, mid back, and then slide the feet in onto the mat, hip width apart, so that the legs are all set up before you place your shoulders and head down and stretch the arms back behind you. So we're going to be staying on our mats now. So if you did have a towel under your lower back, just move it out the way. And then from there, keep your toes hip width apart as we had it, but swing your heels in towards each other so that your feet go into a little froggy position. The knees will naturally just open a little bit wider than your hips here. So the knees have opened out, the heels are squeezing together, and your feet are in a little V shape. Then your arms are also going to be in a V shape. So we'll flip the palms to face up, open the arms just off the edges of the mat so that the collarbones are nice and broad, back of the shoulders broad against the mat. Find your neutral shape here. Lengthen through the back of your neck. We're going to take a deep breath to prepare for our pelvic curl. And then on the exhale, start to tuck the tailbone in, imprinting the lower spine, and then slowly peeling up one vertebra at a time into your bridge position with the froggy shape to the legs. So there's going to be that little bit more engagement of the glutes. The knees stay at that same width, just slightly wider than your hips. And then squeeze the glutes up towards the ceiling and squeeze the heels in towards each other. Take a breath and exhale. We're going to melt down, articulate your spine into the mat, one vertebra at a time. So we're still looking for the articulation of the spine, even though I know you're feeling those glutes doing most of the work. We're going to breathe at the bottom and then go again. Tuck the tail in, lift the pelvis, roll slowly up through the spine. Try to keep your pelvis tucked, so the tailbone tucked in. Try to draw the ribs down slightly so we're not overarching the spine. And of course, you're going to feel the glutes engage. Arms are relaxed as you breathe in. And exhale, let's melt our way back down again through the spine, stretching out the vertebra of your spine into the mat. Landing the pelvis, let's go one more time, breathing in at the bottom. Exhale to tuck, lift, roll your way up through your spine. Again, those knees are just slightly wider than the hips. There's that squeeze of the glutes to get the height of the hips. Take a breath in, and then melt slowly back down through your spine. A nice straight line down into the mat, finding your neutral spine again, and then we'll keep the toes where they are, but take the heels back out to be parallel with your toes. So we're going to go back into just a parallel position with the feet and the knees. You can bring the arms down beside the body, palms facing down, and just check that your feet are not too far away from your body, because we're going to do some heel raises on the next one. So if you feel that you're going to struggle to lift your heels, slide them in a little closer towards you, and then we breathe in there. Exhale, start to tuck the tailbone, lift the pelvis, rolling up into your bridge position. I'm pressing down slightly into the back of the arms, feeling that the triceps are nicely engaged with the weight in the feet and the shoulder blades. The hips are now going to stay at that height without changing the height of your hips. If you'd like to physically hold your hips with your hands to make sure of that, you can. Otherwise, arms can stay down on the mat as we lift our heels off the floor. So you're just up onto the toes and then tap the heels on the mat again. And lift and tap. And we lift and tap for another 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and last 2 and the last 1. Then place your heels back on the mat. Hips are still lifted. Your feet are going to be super glued into the floor. You're going to imagine you're trying to pull your feet towards your body. And then we're going to take one more breath here and exhale to roll slowly down again. One vertebra at a time, melt into the mat, relax your pelvis back to neutral. So again, now a little bit of space under the lower back as the arms become light. We're going to float them up towards the ceiling, palms facing in towards each other, and then try to broaden the shoulder blades back down into the mat, even though your arms are lifted towards the ceiling. Walk your feet and your knees together, so they can squeeze together like you've just got one big leg instead of 2 separate legs. You might have to bring your feet a little closer to your body for this one. Feel it out for yourself, but I want the heels to become light enough that you can float them up off the floor and just have the tippy toes gently touching onto the mat. So you're in a neutral. You might already feel just by lightening the feet on the mat that your abdominals have had to engage a little bit. The arms will stay facing exactly the same spot on your ceiling as we go for a mini spine twist. So with control, think about lifting your left hip up over the right one to tilt the pelvis over to the right. So your left bum cheek and your left foot will definitely lift off the mat. And then exhale, spiral through the center just on the tippy toes and then over to the left. So now the right foot and the right bum cheek will lift off the mat. Coming back through the center, you're going to do 2 more each way of this mini spine twist. Really feel the movement of your pelvis is what's twisting the spine and translating into your legs moving. And your arms stay fixed on the same spot on the ceiling. You can go one more time each way, breathing in as you twist and exhale as you center. Make sure that you've evened yourself out, done the same amount on both sides. And then we're going to pause with the legs in the center, still just on your tippy toes. Turn the palms of the hands to face towards your knees before stretching the arms back behind you onto the floor behind you. We'll breathe in, float the arms back up over the shoulders, and then follow the arms and curl up into a chest lift. So curl the head and the shoulders up so that your hands can grab onto the outside of your thighs. Using those hands on the thighs, try to come up a little higher in your chest lift, and then keep this height of your chest as you interlace the fingers and glide the hands in behind the back of your head to support your neck. So now your upper body is still going to remain completely fixed, and you can now see your legs to make sure your knees stay one on top of the other as we move back into mini spine twist over to the right. So your left hip and foot will lift off the floor, your upper body stays exactly where it is, and then spiral through the center and over to the left. So it's a spine twist again with the upper body staying lifted. And 2 more each way. Breathe in, twist. And center. You should be just on the bottom edge of your shoulder blades, and they just stay in exactly the same place as you spiral. 1 more time each way. Keep squeezing the legs together. Make sure your knees stay stacked on top of each other as we twist. Back to the center. Once you're back in the center, you can release your arms forward into a hundreds prep position. Slowly unravel the spine and then finish with the arms stretching back behind you because we're going to do it again. All right, same thing. We're going to breathe in, arms start to lift. Exhale as you curl up into that chest lift position. Place the hands on the outer thighs, lift a little higher. Interlace your fingers, glide them in behind the back of your head. We're going to add a little bit onto this one, so before you get too carried away, inhale, tilt the pelvis over to the right, just like we did before. So I'm going to peel the left hip and the left foot up off the floor. Now your pelvis is angled towards the right. Keep it there and try to spiral the other way with the upper body. So I'm going to do a rotation with my upper body towards the left. So lift your right shoulder blade up over your left shoulder blade. So your chest is shining to the left, your pelvis is shining to the right, and then everything spirals back through the center. Then lead with the pelvis. So pelvis now moves to the left. Then rotate your chest towards the right, lifting your left shoulder blade off the mat. Exhale through center. And we go again, spiraling the pelvis to the right. The chest goes to the left. Exhale back to center. Spiral the pelvis to the left, chest to the right. Keep the elbows nice and wide. Keep the feet light. We've got one more each way. Think of your spine like a little pepper grinder going one way and the other, and then you twist through the center and you rotate the other way. Come back to the center one last time. Reach the arms forward into hundreds prep, palms face down. Start to lift the arms above the knees and then go back down, shoulders and head, and stretch the arms all the way back for the backs of the hands to touch onto the floor before lightly letting those feet go all the way down onto the mat. So your feet will touch the floor. Arms will float back up over the chest. Inhale. Exhale, curl head and shoulders back up again. Hands to the back of the thighs. This time you're going to let the hands stay on the thighs so that the feet can become light enough for you to lift your legs into tabletop, still holding with the hands to get a nice high chest lift. Squeeze the legs together, release the arms, and place your shoulders and head back down onto the mat. Then we'll open the arms out into a T position. So just a straight line from one hand to the other with your arms pressing down into the floor. Try to even get the thumbs to touch the floor. So every part of the back of your hand is touching the floor. Shoulder blades stay grounded against the mat. For spine twist, we'll tilt over to the right. Peeling the left hip up and exhale through center. So just your regular spine twist now. Focusing on the spiral of the spine, which is nice and warm after all those other little spirals we did. And center. Your head stays still. Try to just stay looking at the same spot on the ceiling as you move. We're going to do 2 more each direction in your own time. You're going as far as you can go that those shoulder blades stay anchored against the mat. Use your arms to help you. Use the anchor of your arms against the floor to help you as you spiral. After your last one, just bring the legs back to center, so back into your tabletop position. And then the arms, which are on the floor, are going to do like a little snow angel movement to slide up behind you so that they're reaching back behind you, and then you can turn the palms to face each other. Bring the arms up towards the ceiling and then curl up into a chest lift for your hands to grab onto the top of your knees. So right hand on your right knee, left hand on your left knee. Legs are still in tabletop. Use the arms to lift the chest so that you're lifted off the edges of your shoulder blades if you can. Flatten your abdominals. Now your upper body stays here, or actually your whole kind of torso stays where it is. It's just the arms and legs that are going to move for our double leg stretch. The arms are going to shoot back as far as you can get them to go, palms facing up. Legs are going to shoot out in front of you to a 45-degree angle. Circle the arms around, bend the knees, grab on top of the knees again. Inhale as everything shoots out. Exhale as you circle around to grab those knees. Try to keep your head lifted and looking forward the whole time. I'm just moving in the shoulders, not the neck. Inhale, reach. Exhale, around. 2 more, reach. Exhale, around. Keep drawing your navel to your spine. 1 more time. Exhale, around. Then grab onto the back of your thighs. Give yourself a little roll to come all the way up to sitting. And then we're going to stay seated to set up for your back support. So straighten both your legs out and then step your hands, your 3 steps roughly back behind you. Doing it with the fingers facing towards the body if you can, or otherwise take the fingers to face out to the sides of the room if this feels like it's too intense on your wrists. Arms are about shoulder width apart. Legs squeeze together, they're very, very straight. The spine is also completely straight. And then push down through the arms to the point that it already feels like your hips are becoming light against the mat. Breathe in, and then just add the pressure through your heels to hinge the pelvis up into your back support position. Inhale, we'll hinge back down, tap the mat, and then press back up again, lifting into your back support and slowly lowering down. So I'm not crashing down to the mat, I'm controlling it. One more time, let's hinge up, try to reach your toes for the mat, and then hinge all the way back down. You can put some weight into your pelvis as you bend your left knee to place your left foot flat down onto the mat. And then we'll go back up one more time. So take a breath, hinge up into your back support. Now stay here and send the weight into your left leg. So left hamstrings engaged so that your straight leg can kick upwards towards the ceiling and then back to the mat. And 2 more times, kick and tap the mat. 1 more time, then place your right foot back on the mat, hinge your pelvis back down onto the floor. Switch your legs. So now I've got my right knee bent, right foot flat on the mat. Breathe in, push through the arms, hinge, send the weight into your right leg, left leg kicks up and taps the mat. 2 more, kick and tap. 1 more time, stay looking up towards the ceiling, place the foot on the mat, hinge the pelvis back down onto the floor, and then you'll take both legs out in front, take the weight off your hands, you can give your wrists a little spin, and then we're going to go for a soft bend into our knees. So both knees are bent and squeezing together. Unless you feel like your hip flexors start to cramp, then you can let your knees open out slightly. I've got the feet flexed up towards the ceiling, and we're going to start by just holding or hooking the hands onto the bottom of your thighs so that you can kind of get the weight right over the top of your sitting bones. Pull slightly with the arms to extend the spine as much as you can. Then your legs and back will stay in this position as the arms go out to the sides into a T, palms facing forward. We're going to take a breath and then exhale, twist through the spine towards the left-hand side first. Your right hand is then going to come across to hold onto the outside of your left thigh so that you can pull with that hand to try and twist a little bit more. Deepen the twist of the waist. Hold that position, release your right arm back out into a T, and then spiral back through the center with your spine. Now we'll twist towards the right and take the left hand onto the outside of the right knee or right thigh. Use that arm to deepen the twist a little bit more. Release the arm first and then spiral back to center. Let's do it one more time each way. Breathing in, twist, hook the hand and go a little further in your twist. So really wringing out the waist. Release the arm and come back through center. Try to keep the legs in the same position. One more time towards the right, using the left arm to deepen the twist. Release the arm and spiral back to the center. And then you can place the soles of the feet together, knees out to the sides of the room into your butterfly stretch, holding onto your feet and just leaning forward over your legs, so looking towards your own feet, getting a little bit of an inner thigh stretch. Hold it there for 2 deep breaths. You can use your elbows to encourage your knees out to the sides of the room and down towards the floor. And then after that last breath, we're going to bring the legs up in front. We're going to be going into rolling like a ball, so make sure that you've got a runway behind you of mat, that you're not too far back on your mat. We're going to go into the shape with your feet still on the floor. Lightly place your hands onto the front of your knees here, on the front of your shins, legs squeezing together. I'm going to round the spine to lean slightly back and then slide or walk your feet, if they're a bit sticky, towards your bum until your feet can float off the floor. So you're in your ball position here. Try to bring the feet a little closer in if you can and see if the hands can slide a little bit lower down towards your ankles. The arms are going to be very light, just lightly resting. Keep your head looking in towards your own thighs so you've got your chin slightly tucked in. Keep that rounded ball shape to the spine, and then it's an inhale breath to roll backwards towards the shoulder blades, and exhale to come back and find your balance on your little perch. Inhale to roll back. You want to go for 6 of these. Every time you go, try to make it a little bit smoother, like a little marble that's just rolling along the mat, rather than smacking the mat with your spine. It's okay if your head does touch the floor when you roll back. Just make sure you're not sending the weight into your neck. You're sending it into your shoulder blades. Deep engagement of the abdominals. Try not to use your legs or your arms. You can do one more just like that, and then come back to find your little perch on the sitting bones. Just watch me for the next one before you do it so that you know where you're going. We're going to add a roll over onto the next one. So it's going to be like rolling like a ball, except that you release your arms down onto the floor and take your legs straight up overhead. And then as you roll back down, you'll release your arms, catch your little ball shape, and come back again without letting your feet touch the mat. So give it a try. It's important that you release the arms down onto the floor. It's going to help you find your balance when the legs go up overhead. And I'm really straightening those legs. Give your hamstrings a little stretch while you're looking at your legs. Exhale, catch yourself back into your little ball without pushing into the arms. Use the abdominals. And go for 2 more like this. 2 more little rolling like a ball / rollovers, using a bit of momentum. Whenever you've finished your last one, just come back to your seated position to finish. And then you can land the feet back down onto the floor, sweep them around behind you, and come to lie down on your tummy. So I'm going to take the legs back, lying down on our stomachs. You're going to take your legs a little bit wider than hip width, so kind of in a V position, so that when you bend your knees, your heels will touch. So I've got my arms just in underneath my forehead. I'm looking down at my own hands. Knees are bent, heels are touching, and the feet are flexed, as if I was resting a tray on those feet. So the heels touch, but the toes will not touch. Your toes are kind of out to the sides of the room here. Adjust yourself so that you feel like your pelvis is pressing downwards into the mat. Tummy muscles are lifting to support your lower back, because this is a little bit lower backy. If it becomes too intense for your lower back, put your head all the way down on your hands. Rest your head completely. Otherwise, you can keep a little bit of a lift with the head. So I've got a 90-degree bend, 90-degree angle in the back of my knees. And then from there, we're going to keep the shape. Actively squeeze your heels together, take a breath, and on the exhale, squeeze the glutes to lift the legs up towards the ceiling. So you're trying to lift your knees and your thighs just up off the mat, and then lower them back down. So if you did have a tray resting on your feet, you're pushing that tray upwards towards the ceiling, and then bringing it back down again. Exhale as you lift. It might be just a millimeter of lift. It might be maybe up to 10 centimeters of lift. It's all about that hip extension. So use your glutes for the movement. Squeeze the bum cheeks and squeeze the heels together to keep your legs active. And let's go for 3 more. Exhale as you press up to the ceiling. Inhale, lower. 2 more. Press and lift. 1 more time. Press and release. Then once the knees are back on the mat, we're going to straighten the legs back out. So you're going to take your legs into a V position. My feet are just on the outer edges of the mat. Turn the knees to face outward slightly, and then slide your hands in directly underneath your shoulders. So my shoulders are looking at my hands. Elbows will be lifted off the mat and tucked in next to your body like little grasshopper wings, squeezing your armpits. Pull your tummy muscles in and up. Your legs are going to stay down this time, and we're going to go just into a mini swan. So think first about the lengthening of your spine. So lengthening and then starting to lift the head and the chest into a little wave, and then push into the arms until it feels like your rib cage is just in line with your elbows. So your ribs will just start to float off the mat. Bring the elbows in nice and tight next to your body, and then reverse back down again. So you're going to just place the spine, lengthen back down till your nose almost touches your mat. And then we go again. So inhale that wave through the upper body, a little push into the arms until you've got your elbows in line with your rib cage, and then exhale back down. So it's like a mini kind of push-up movement. Inhale into the swan, lengthening the spine, coming up and over an invisible ball that's behind your back, and then back down. Keep the elbows tucked in tight. We've got 2 more. So keeping those elbows in is going to help you feel your triceps engage. And exhale down. 1 more time. Inhale as you rise through your spine, press through the arms. And then exhale to lengthen back down to look down at your own mat. Now your arms will stay in this position, but we're going to bring the legs into hip width position and parallel. So turn your knees to face straight down and bring the legs in so that there's just space for like a tennis ball to fit between your legs. Then we're going to tuck the toes in. Try to get all of your toes to tuck in. Support with your tummy muscles. Push your knees into the floor, but try to pull in and up through the abdominals so that it lifts your pelvis slightly up off the floor, because I don't want you to leave your pelvis behind when you push up. The pelvis is already lifted and now it doesn't get a chance to touch the mat. You just push straight down through the arms to lift your chest up off the floor in one solid movement. And then once you're up, you can straighten your knees so that you end up in a plank. Adjust if you need to get enough space for your plank position. You got the shoulders over the wrists, support from your abdominals, and then we'll stay here, spreading the weight out through the palms of the hands. Untuck your left toes so that you can glide your left knee in underneath your hip. It just grazes the mat and then it goes back. Retuck the toes, untuck the right ones, and do the same with the right knee gliding in and back. Without anything else moving, your back doesn't move. If there was a tray on your back, it wouldn't move. It's just the hip that brings the knee in and back, and the other knee in and back. 2 more each leg, in and back, and the other leg in and back. 1 more time each leg, in and back, and the other leg in and back, and then press up into a downward facing dog, hips towards the ceiling. You can soften the knees slightly, bring the feet slightly closer in to find a nice true downward facing dog. Lengthen up through the spine, sitting bones to the ceiling as you let one knee bend slightly and push the opposite heel down into the mat, and then switch. So you shouldn't have as much weight in the arms in a downward facing dog as you did in a plank. You've shifted the weight backwards into the legs as we do a little alternating hamstring stretch. You can do 1 more each leg. And then let both knees soften a little bit as you walk your hands backwards towards your feet. Walk all the way backwards until the weight is on your feet completely and not in your arms, so that your arms can take a break. So the weight's in your legs, your arms and your head are hanging. Take 1 more breath here. And then again, you can bend the knees as much as you need to. Place the hands flat on the mat and walk yourself back out into your downward facing dog. Hands about shoulder width apart on the mat. In your downward facing dog, wrap the shoulder blades around the rib cage. All the weight goes into your right leg. Your left leg is going to lift up towards the ceiling. It's a straight leg that's lifting to begin with. So go into a 3-legged dog. Then you're going to bend your knee to bring the knee in towards the rib cage. Curl forward over the hands as though you're coming forward into a little plank, and then lean the weight into your right hand. Look at your left hand and step your left foot where your left hand was on the mat. So your hand will have to lift. So that we're in a high lunge position. Then placing the hands onto your knee to help find some support to lift your body up into your lunge. So you're in a very low lunge. The front knee should be over your foot. So knee over ankle, back leg completely straight. You can just hold it here if you're struggling with balance. Stay here. Otherwise, if you're feeling good in the balance, hips face forward, arms reach out into a T position. Again, you can hold it here or add a little bit of a lunge. So bend the back knee and then straighten it again. And we bend, inhale, exhale, straighten. Let's go for 4 more and lift. 3 more and lift. 2 more, lift. 1 more time. Straighten out that back leg, then fold forward with your body to place your hands flat down onto the mat. Push through the arms to make some space for you to step your left foot back into a downward facing dog position. Then all the weight goes into the left leg. Right leg is going to shoot up into a 3-legged dog. Bend the knee, draw it into the ribs, curl forward, look where your right hand is, and then place your foot on the mat where your right hand was. Then hands to the top of your knee, push yourself up into your high lunge, adjust the feet if you need to. The back leg is straight, your hips are facing forward, so that back heel will definitely not be touching the floor. Then arms out to T, you can just hold it or add the lunge, depends how your knees are feeling. A bend and straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, fully straighten that leg. 4 more. And 3. And 2. And the last one, bend and straighten, forward fold. Place the hands onto the mat. Push into the arms. Step the leg back into your downward facing dog 1 last time. And then gently bend the knees, lower them all the way down onto the mat. And then from there, we're going to come to lie down on our sides. So you can pick a side, straighten out the legs, and then be propped up on your elbow. So I've got my bottom elbow directly underneath my shoulder, so I've got my body lifted off the mat. Both legs out straight. They want to feel and look like they are the same length. You can keep your top hand lightly on the mat if you need it for balance, or you can put it behind your ear like I've done in the video here. Keep the push into that bottom arm so that you don't end up sinking into your bottom shoulder as we lift the top leg up just a little higher than hip height, flexing through the ankle. So I'm using the bottom arm and my abdominals for balance because we've got our bottom leg completely straight as we hinge that top leg forward for a double pulse. 1, 2. Point the ankle, draw the leg back and pulse. 1, 2. Exhale forward. Try keep your pelvis tucked when the leg goes back and pulses. Exhale forward. Your body will sway slightly just to compensate for the weight, but try to make it as minimal as possible. And we're doing 4 more, forward and back. Keep pushing through your arm, keep the eyes looking forward. Last 2, exhale forward, inhale back. Keep your knee completely straight and then bring your leg in line with your bottom leg again and lower it down to close the legs. We're going to slide the bottom arm out to lie down on your bottom arm with the palm facing up. If you need a little bit of cushioning between your arm and your ear, you can put a towel there to make it more comfortable for your neck. So we're going to stay here. I'm going to keep my hand to begin with lightly touching onto the mat in front of the chest, and then both legs stay squeezing together and they're going to float just up off the floor. So you're a straight stripe with your legs just floating, and then keep your knees completely straight as one leg comes forward and the other leg goes back towards the edges of your mat. So they're going to scissor and then they switch and switch. You're going to exhale for both legs to go both directions and then inhale forward and forward. If you don't need the hand on the mat in front of you, take your arm up towards the ceiling with the palm facing forward. Draw your abdominals in for balance and inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. Keeping the legs super straight. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. 1 more. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. Then squeeze the legs together again. Even if you did have the hand still on the mat, I'm going to encourage you to take it up towards the ceiling for this last little bit, because we're going to keep our legs lifted and squeezing together, and then just try to lift them a little bit higher. So lifting from your upper waist, and then keep them lifted for 3, 2, and 1. And then you can lower the legs all the way down to the floor, sweep them over to the other side of the mat so that we can do it all on the other side. So starting propped up on your elbow under the shoulder, I'm lifting my body away from the mat, legs out straight, and top hand can be behind the ear or on the mat in front of you. Just note that if the hand is behind your ear, don't pull your elbow backwards. Bring your elbow slightly forward so that you can see it out the corner of your eye, like we would do for chest lifts or anything, so that your shoulder can relax down away from your ear. Support from your abdominals, straighten out those legs, and then float your top leg up a little higher than hip height. Flex through the top ankle, and then exhale, we hinge forward and double pulse. 1, 2. Inhale, draw the leg back. It's a small little double pulse, just enough that you can go slightly further than you did on your first pulse. 1, 2. Try to keep your upper body as still as possible. Keep the pressure of that bottom arm into the mat. Exhale, forward, forward, and back. And last 3. Really flex strongly and point strongly. Work the ankle joint. Last 2. And your last 1, forward, forward, back, back. Leg in line with the body. You can lower it down and then lower yourself down to lie on your arm. Head resting on the bottom arm. You can have the hand on the mat in front of you, but if you already know that you don't need it there and you want to take it up to the ceiling, you can go ahead and do that. And then we'll float the legs just up off the floor. So everything is just straight at this point. That line from the inner seam of your ankles running up through your belly button towards your nose is in a straight line. And then you're going to go for a walk. 1 leg forward, 1 leg back towards the edges of your mat. And then we'll switch. Watch that the knees don't bend, especially the bottom leg when it goes backwards is going to want to bend. So really lock that knee. And if you don't need the hand on the mat, you can take it up. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale. Locking out those knees. 1 more time. Inhale, inhale, exhale, Exhale, then squeeze the legs back together. Try to get your heels to touch. It doesn't really matter if the toes are touching. And then take the arm to the ceiling if you didn't already have it there, as we lift the legs a little bit higher, and we hold them there for 3, and we breathe for 2, 1, and then you can lower your legs all the way down to the floor, and let's roll over to lie on your back. Lying on your back with your legs together, so feet and knees touching, and your arms out into a T position, so a nice open shape for the chest, palms facing up. Drop both of your knees over to the left-hand side of your room, and then turn your head to look towards your right hand. So your head is looking in the opposite direction to your knees. And we're just going to hold it here in this little twisted position for 2 deep breaths. Let the legs feel heavy. They're just melting downwards into the floor. 1 more breath, and then you could bring the knees and the head back to center. Drop the knees over to the right and turn the head to look over to the left hand. So just twisting in the opposite direction and holding it for 2 deep breaths. Then spiral everything back through to the center again. So knees facing up to the ceiling, eyes facing up to the ceiling. Video Sue's going to get there soon. She's just enjoying her stretch. There we go. All right, we're coming back to the center to lengthen your arms down beside your body, palms facing down. We are going to do a full rollover. If you want to watch the video, you're unsure of what a rollover looks like, you can watch the first one. If you don't want to do rollovers, if it's not part of your practice, if you don't like going upside down, just do some pelvic curls instead. Just keep yourself moving as we do our rollovers. So hold your neutral and bring one leg at a time into tabletop, the legs squeeze together. They reach out onto a long diagonal, so the knees straighten. Inhale, bring those legs up over the hips. Exhale to take them up and over into your rollover shape. Draw in through the tummy muscles and not collapsed here, very much supported. While you're looking at your legs, flex your ankle joints, separate your legs to about hip width apart, and then from inside your hip joint, drop the legs as low as you can get them to go. Then keeping them as low as they can go, keeping them as straight as they can be, take a breath, and you're going to roll down through your spine, trying to keep your head against the mat. Your head doesn't lift, just articulate down through the spine. Once the legs are in line with the hips, you can point the toes and then sweep them out and together to repeat the whole thing. Legs go up, exhale, you go up and over. Flex, separate, and hinge. You want to do 5 of these in your own time. I'm going to give you plenty of time, so don't feel rushed. Or do 5 pelvic curls if you prefer to do a pelvic curl to a rollover. Try to keep the head down and the neck relaxed. And really stretch your hamstrings. If you do manage to get your toes to touch the floor when you're doing this, keep them on the floor for as long as possible, like you're trying to drag your toes along the floor. Whenever you have finished your last one, whenever that might be, as your legs reach away, you're just going to curl your head and your shoulders up and slowly peel all the way up so that we can meet in a seated position. But feel free to take your time to get into the seated shape. I'm going to give everybody about 10 more seconds to make sure that we've all managed to get our 5 rollovers. Make it smooth. Remember to breathe through your movements. And then once we're all up in a seated position, give yourself again some space behind you like you're going to do rolling like a ball, because we're actually going to do seal puppy. All right. So from the seated position, bend your knees, and you're going to place your left arm, or actually, yeah, that's fine. Do it from here. Place your left arm onto the inside of your left thigh. Wrap the arm around so that your hand can hold onto the outside of your left foot. And then place your right arm along the inside of your right thigh, wrap it around to hold onto your right foot. So your right hand is holding your right foot, your left hand is holding your left foot. The soles of your feet are going to look at each other, and then you're going to squeeze them together. So my feet are touching, heels to heels, ball of the foot to ball of the foot. Then from here, think about squeezing your knees inwards slightly, like you're trying to compress yourself. So your arms have to work, your inner thighs have to work, you're in a very compressed, tight little shape. Draw the tummy muscles in, and it's from the hips that you do your claps, not just your feet. Okay, so everything, the whole of the leg from the hips, you're going to clap your feet 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Then you'll roll back to do like a rolling like a ball movement. Come back to your perch. Once you're there, clap your feet 1, 2, and 3. So play around with this. Keep the legs squeezing in firmly together, clapping from the hip joints, and rolling. Once you start to feel secure in this movement, if you're kind of acing the 3 claps when you're on your sitting bones, try to add some claps when you're on your shoulder blades as well. So when you're at the back, also clap 3 times. Or maybe you just get 1 clap in and you build it up from there. So clapping 3 times when you're seated and clapping 3 times when you're on your shoulder blades. Remembering to breathe. Go for 1 more each way. Clapping, 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 and rolling. Whenever you finish that one, just land your feet back down onto the floor. Then I'm going to cross my ankles just to sit in a cross-legged position, or you can sit any way that feels comfortable. If you'd like to sit on something as well, you could sit on something. We're just in a comfortable seated position, taking the arms out in front, palms facing down. We're going to practice the breathing and the moving of the swimming pattern, because there is a little bit of coordination required. So it's 2 straight arms. The movement for swimming is inside of your shoulders. So it's the arms moving from your shoulder joints rather than your arms flapping from your elbows or your wrists or anything like that. So we're going to do slowly to begin with. You're going to lift your right arm a little higher than your left from this position, and then the left a little higher than the right. So my counting for this is going to be 1 as the right arm lifts and as the left arm lifts. Then 2. And 3, and 4, and 5, and we're going to go a little bit faster, and we're going to breathe, prepare. Then it's going to be 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Pause. We're going to add the breathing onto that now. So it's like your 100's breath, in that you're going to inhale to the count of 5 and exhale to the count of 5 with your arms doing this little paddle pattern. But because one arm is a number and the other arm is just the and, you're actually moving your arms 10 times in one breath. Okay. If you want to think about the maths of it, otherwise don't overthink it. Let's just go for it. So you're going to inhale to prepare, and off we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and inhale for 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 and exhale. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and inhale. 3 and 4 and 5 and exhale. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and inhale. 3 and 4 and 5 and exhale. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and inhale. 3 and 4 and 5 and exhale. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and let's pause there with the arms straight out in front, and then you can relax your arms. We're going to take the legs around and behind us to lie down on our tummies. Oh no, I'm lying to you. We're going to do forward spine stretch first. So 2 straight legs out in front of you. Legs are going to be slightly wider than the hips. If you want to sit on something, again, for the hamstrings, you can sit on something. Arms come out in front, lengthen through your spine. Take a deep breath. And then on the exhale, we're going to dive forward and through the legs, thinking about reaching the crown of the head forward and over the legs towards the top edge of your mat. Breathe in. Draw navel to spine. Start to slowly restack everything until you've lengthened up tall. Inhale there. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, dive your way forward, reaching the crown of the head over the top edge of the mat. Soften the knees if you're feeling it too much in the hamstrings. Breathe in. Exhale, roll up, draw navel to spine, stacking everything up. We're going to go 1 more time, breathing in, and then diving forward. And as it's your last one, let's stay here. Take your arms onto the outside of your legs, and you can hold wherever is comfortable for you. So maybe it's the feet, maybe it's the ankles, and then relax your shoulders and bend from the elbow joints to try and lengthen yourself a little bit further forward over your legs. So I'm not drawing my nose towards the mat. I'm thinking about the lengthening of the spine. Pull through the arms and hold for 2 deep breaths in your stretch. Feeling that kind of stretch between the hamstrings and the spine. And then releasing the hands, unraveling the spine, sweep the legs around behind you. And now we're going to add that swimming pattern onto your lying down position. So bring your legs hip width apart and start with your elbows kind of just folded in next to your body like a narrow kind of goalpost position, nose just hovering off the mat. So the legs are only hip width apart, they're parallel, so my knees are facing downwards to the floor. Draw the tummy muscles in, straighten through your knees and float your legs up off the floor behind you. So we're going to start by introducing the pattern just to the legs before we get all confused with the arms as well. So your upper body will stay as it is, and then lift your right leg a little higher than your left, so feel that lift coming from the right bum cheek, and then left a little higher than the right, and then we're going to add the breathing pattern on. So inhale, prepare, we're going to speed it up, and we exhale for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and inhale, 2 and 3, 5 and exhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and inhale, 3 and 4 and 5 and exhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and pause for a breath. And then keep your legs lifted and let's just glide the arms out in front of you about shoulder width apart or a little wider if you need to, if your neck gets tense. Your upper body will stay pretty much as it is, but float straight arms just up off the floor, palms facing down. Just to find the coordination of the pattern, just one time slowly, lift your right leg and your left arm a little higher, and then switch for left leg and right arm a little higher, just to feel the cross pattern. Inhale, prepare, and we're going quick. Exhale for 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and inhale, 3 and 4 and 5 and exhale, 2 and 3 and 4. Keep the knees locked and inhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and exhale, 2, 3 and 4. Pull the abdominals, inhale, and 4 and exhale, 2 and 3 and just one more time. Inhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and exhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and hold, and then everything can rest down towards the floor. And then before we push ourselves out of this position, bend your elbows, bring your hands in underneath your forehead so that you're looking at your own hands again. You can slide the elbows in a little bit, get a little bit of push through the arms, and then walk the legs in towards each other so that you can squeeze your legs together behind you. So heels rotate in towards each other for the squeeze, lift the abdominals, reach through your legs and float your legs just up off the floor. If this goes into your lower back, drop the head to rest down onto your arms, otherwise keep the little bit of lift through the arms. Keep the kneecaps floating off the floor as we start to bend the knees to 90. Try to still keep the legs squeezing together as much as possible and do your 3 little pulses into your hamstrings. We pulse 3, 2, 1. Inhale, lengthen the legs. Exhale, bend and pulse for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, reach through the legs. 4 more, bend and pulse. Try to keep the knees floating and reach. Last 3, pull from the hamstrings and reach. Last 2, keep squeezing the inner thighs together and reach. And one more time, exhale, bend and pulse. 3, 2, 1 and reach. And then you can lower the legs down to the floor. Separate your legs to hip width apart again and bring the hands back in underneath your shoulders where we had it earlier with our little grasshopper elbows up to the ceiling. Tuck your toes in underneath you. Feel free to use your knees like we did when we did this previously. Otherwise, if you want to level up, you can join me where I lock the knees so the knees will lift. Think about lifting your pelvis slightly first, so that all of my leg and pelvis have lifted slightly off the mat. Then keep that shape, just push down straight through the arms for everything to lift as one single unit into your plank. Adjust if you need to adjust in your plank position. Send the weight into the right leg. Untuck the left toes. Glide your left knee in underneath your hip. Graze the mat. Take it back. Switch legs. Right leg, glide in and back. 3 more each leg. And back. Keep the body still. Keep the arms strong. Eyes are looking at the mat just ahead of the hands. 1 more time each leg. Glide in and back. Glide in and back. Then place one knee on the mat. Place the other one. Open your knees out a little wider than your hips and press back into your rest position. Sending the sitting bones back towards the heels. Stretching the arms out in front of you. Resting the head down into a comfortable position. Hold it here for 2 deep breaths. Really expand through your rib cage as you breathe. Bring the heart rate back down. Bring the breath back down. to a nice slow controlled breath before we curl back up onto hands and knees. Make sure your feet are hip width behind you before you tuck your toes. Slide the hands back so that you can push them down into the mat to push yourself up over onto your feet. And then once you're standing on your feet, we're going to hang here, lengthen through the neck, and hold on to opposite elbows. So right hand holds your left elbow, left hand holds your right elbow. Use the pull through the arms to pull yourself down towards the mat, deepen through the stretch, lengthening the neck, hold for a breath. Then keep the knees softly bent as your arms release down to the mat. Take a breath and exhale to roll slowly up through the spine. Knees stay soft. Keep the neck lengthened as you unravel till right at the end of the movement where we'll lift the head, straighten out through the spine, and then we are all done for today. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed it.